On a serious note, I mean, this was, I don't know. This team is just very, they're like the definition of meh. I like the offense is a little bit below average, right?
Yeah.
The pitching has been a little bit below average. And I mean, it's incredible that the team still has a winning record, but they just, I don't know, like they're never firing on all cylinders. It's just, how do you not at least escape Cincinnati with one of those games? The offense, we can have the same discussions we've had every single week
Yeah.
on this show, where it's like, hey, you need some young guys to emerge at the plate. You're a couple bats short. You
Right.
need the pitchers to be a little more consistent. And like, it's the same conversation. And I don't know, maybe we're getting closer to some roster shuffling. I think guys getting back from the injured list, that's certainly on the horizon. But um, I don't know. There's like how many hitters on this team, Bull, are you like, ooh, this guy's up at the plate? Like, I'm interested to watch this at bat.
3.
Okay. And who would that be?
Juan, Manzardo, and Jose.
Okay. And that's fair.
And to put it, and I even hesitated because, all right, I'm going to do it, even though people are going to roll their eyes. So obviously, I watch the Cubs a lot, and right now they're very fun to watch. Right? They steal a lot of bases, they hit a lot of home runs, they get a lot of extra base hits. They have pretty much everybody in their lineup outside of third base is contributing. Pete Crow Armstrong, very fun to watch. Kyle Tucker, very fun to watch. Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson's, after a terrible start, has been red hot for the last month.
Their catcher,
he's finally cooled off. And then they called up a young catcher who's also a DH who's like fat. I love watching fat guys hit. He's like a slightly taller Alejandro Kirk. He's got the same kind of profile too. He's good at making contact. So they have a lot of fun guys to watch. And compared to the other team I root for, the Guardians, it's just I do like watching Quan. He has good at bats. He's fun to watch. Jose's great. We got the Zack Meisel helmet counter there that we always got to follow. And, it's nice to see Manzardo with the porn stash hitting some home runs and taking care of that. But no, I mean, I'm not excited to watch Bo Naylor or Arias or Schneemann. And it's unfair. I mean, Schneemann's been pretty good, but
Schneemann's been good. I mean,
it's unfair, but
he's having a nice start. I wouldn't.
It just some of the guys, the Guardians just have way too many guys that even when they're hot, this is not going to last. Like Daniel Schneemann's not hitting 20 home runs. Daniel Schneemann's going to bat 250 with 260 maybe. He's going to hit 9 home runs. He's going to drive in 42. And it's, but when it's all said and done, you're going to be like, well, okay, he had a good couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at yesterday's lineup, and it's Juan and Ramirez at the top, fine. Santana hitting third, and I know he had a couple of hits, but this guy's been brutal.
Oh,
his OPS is 650.
Oof.
His slugging percentage is 320.
Yeah, that's awful.
Going into yesterday, there were 12 hitters in Major League Baseball with a lower slugging percentage.
Oh my God.
That's your first baseman. That's the guy replacing Josh Naylor for a year. So and I understand he's a typical slow starter, but he's also 39. And like David Fry is going to be back in a couple weeks, and he shouldn't be taking Manzardo's playing time. He should be taking Santana's. Not every day, obviously.
Right.
But
he should, yeah.
But you can't, if you're just going to hang around all year and let this guy play pretty much every day for the entire season and he doesn't turn it around, which is entirely possible at the age of 39, like he's still drawing a lot of walks. That's great. But when you're 39, what's going to be when you start to decline at the plate? What are you going to lose? You're going to lose bat speed. You're going to lose power.
Yeah.
He has 7 extra base hits. That's just,
you can't.
It's not going to cut it.
You know what? When you're 39, you're not a good, not a fast base runner. I don't really care about your on base percentage that much. If you have no slug, if you're on first base, like I got to get 2 hits to get you around anyway. It's not like you're stealing a base, and if it's a fast guy, okay, then the on base means more. But when you're a 39-year-old declining first baseman, the on base, I'm not going to say it's useless, but it's not that valuable. And that's the problem. There's just so many guys that are not productive in the lineup.
Right. So if we go back to that lineup, so Santana was hitting third.
Right.
Arias is hitting fourth. And now there was a lefty on the mound, so that's why Manzardo wasn't in there. But, it says something when you're...
Manzardo's killed lefties.
He has, and it says something when you're pinch hitting for your cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
After your cleanup hitter had 3 at-bats.
Right.
And Arias has been okay. The OPS is 706. It's not like he's certainly cooled off. And, some of those alarming underlying things are still there. Like he is who he is to an extent.
Yeah.
And like if he's your shortstop and he's putting up the numbers he's putting up right now and he's hitting 8th or 9th every day, you live with that. You're fine with that. But he was hitting 4th. There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
You had Noel hitting 5th. That guy has done absolutely nothing. And he is like one of my favorite people in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
A great dude, like easy to root for. You see how much he cares, how much he wants to be good.
Yeah.
That guy needs a reset at AAA so badly. I would imagine when Lane Thomas is back, he's the guy that goes. But I mean, his OPS is 429. His on base percentage is 170. He reaches base less than like 1 out of every 6 plate appearances.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I just think, then you have Martinez was hitting 6th. Okay. Will Wilson 7th, Schneemann 8th, but that's lefty on lefty, and Hedges 9th. And I just think, what are your realistic, what's the best case scenario for a lineup like that?
To be below average. To be slightly below average is the best case scenario, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you have they only have so for those who don't know, an average OPS, changes from year to year. I'd say it's about somewhere between 710, 715. Is that fair to say? I believe the average OPS
this year, the average OPS is 710.
Okay, so right there. So the Guardians have Ramirez is at 877. Schneemann been really good, 839. Quan 802, Manzardo 801. Then Angel Martinez barely over that number at 716. Arias just below at 706, and everybody else is significantly below. I mean, you have guys who are playing every day who are well below league average. And you can survive with 1 or 2 guys like that, but you can't have 4, especially when 2 of the, you can't have 4 guys essentially with an above average OPS, especially when one of them is Schneemann. And again, I'll be very happy if he proves me wrong, but if he has a 650 OPS 3 weeks from now, are you going to be surprised?
If he's used properly, he doesn't have to.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he can hit some righties. I think they believed in that last year too. That's how you ended up with him. I mean, he was in those playoff lineups.
Right. All right.
I'm by no means am I saying, hey, this is your second baseman for eternity. Right. And by no means, I wouldn't even predict that he's going to be able to sustain what he's doing now. I do think he can hit fastballs off a righty. That's it. So can you use him in a role where like he starts against some righties and bounces around the infield? That's probably the ideal role for him. But he's the least of my concerns. It's that, and it's not even, we're talking about the hitting here.
Yeah.
They don't have the pitching at this moment to survive hitting like this. That's the issue.
No.
Like I look at the Tigers and like they can't stop winning. And obviously their offense has been better than Cleveland's.
Yeah.
I do think their offense should come back to earth a little bit. I mean, they've gotten like Torkelson has done what he was supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Torkelson and Baez have been the difference for them.
Yeah. And so like the question is Javi Baez, is this legit from Javi Baez? Like Zach McKinstry has been incredible and that came out of nowhere.
Right.
And Gleyber Torres has been great. And maybe he'll come down to earth a little bit.
By the way, I was saying all off season, the Guardians should sign him.
Would have been a good fit.
He'd be the cleanup hitter in this lineup.
Yeah. So like, I think they'll come back to earth a little bit, but that's all. They're also okay if that happens because their pitching is so good, and
Right.
they get consistent starts from Skubal and Olsen, and like even Flaherty hasn't even been great, but and their bullpen's great. So that's the issue is if I'm looking at the Guardians, I'm like, what is your strength? What are you great at? And like I still trust Clase, Smith, and Gaddis and Heron, I guess, but like that's not enough. Like last year they had you could rely on Tanner Bibee to give you good starts time in and time out. You know, even Ben Lively was
Yeah.
really good and he was really good again to start this year and you don't have him now. And you knew there was more depth to the lineup last season. So if the starting pitching, you know, if you were relying on Carlos Carrasco at times last year, sometimes you were bailed out because you had just more reliable entities in your lineup. And you just said it. There are 3 guys that you're intrigued to watch step up to the plate,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. And you know, like Lane Thomas coming back is not going to magically fix this lineup.
Think about, and I do think Lane Thomas will help because listen, the guy, I know he got off to a terrible start. He's a proven hitter. He should at least be better than some of the guys they put out there. But think about this. This would have been very doable if they would have not traded Josh Naylor. And I know Slade Cecconi, good job by him. He pitched well the other day. But if they had not traded Josh Naylor, and they had not signed Santana, not signed Paul Sewald, and signed Gleyber Torres instead, the payroll would not be significantly higher. You know, they paid, what did they pay Santana? What's Santana getting paid compared to what Naylor's getting paid this year? Is it
Santana's getting 12 million,
yeah.
Naylor's getting a little bit less, I think like
Okay.
10
So let's
and
say Naylor,
change.
he's getting what?
10.9.
Okay. So Naylor's getting 11. Gleyber Torres got 15. So let's say you would have to pay him 15. That's 26. Santana's getting 12 and Sewald's getting 7. That's 19. For $7 million more, okay, you would not have Cecconi. You would not have Santana, who stinks. You would not have Paul Sewald, who's been terrible. You didn't need him really anyway. Can you imagine like how much better this lineup would be if you had Naylor and Gleyber Torres? I mean, they'd be way better. Those guys would be your 4 and 5 hitters. Think about if you think of, you could even bet like, you know, your 1 through 5 could be, you know,
Quan, Ramirez, Naylor,
yeah,
Manzardo, and Torres in some order. That's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's again, we're not talking about busting up the payroll for that. But no, you know, they can't like and listen, Gleyber Torres, I guess he could have gone to Detroit and been bad. It's fine, but he's been like those are the guys you got to sign. Like if you're going to have to wait one more year for Bazan, if you think Bazan, Gleyber Torres it was a 1-year contract. That was it. Like why wouldn't you sign a guy like that when you know, and that's it. Like I feel like to some degree Antonetti and Chernoff have gotten a pass. You know, like we always blame ownership because they don't spend, and that's fair, but
when they do spend, it's often ugly. But
yeah,
part of that is when you're shopping in the bargain aisle year after year, like you're not expecting to find the greatest products anyway. There's a reason they're in the bargain bin.
right.
I will say Torres, yeah, that one. I don't know what he's. I'm assuming he's not very good defensively year
No,
after
he's
year,
not. No.
but you know, you were sacrificing that anyway by trading Jimenez. And the one thing, because he's had some ups and downs, like some years he hits for power, some
Yeah.
years he doesn't. He's always drawn a lot of walks. I just felt like in October, he was such a pest at the
Yeah.
top of that Yankees lineup. Like it felt like every at bat with him was exhausting. Like he'd work counts and it'd take 9 pitches and he'd finally draw a free pass. I thought that would have fit nicely with just what Quan and Ramirez can do
Right.
at the top of the order.
His career OPS is 76. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's way better than most of the guys on this team. I mean, it just would have been a perfect fit. And you know what? If I'm the Guardians right now, I'm calling up CJ Kafis and I'm DFAing Carlos Santana. It's enough. I mean, it's enough. It's come on. We're almost 2 months. We're more than a quarter way into the season, almost a third into the season. Kafis is killing it in AAA. What else do you want this guy to do? He's got almost an 1,100 OPS.
Yeah, I mean I can't argue against it.
Yeah, I know listen, you can call these guys up, and a lot of, Nick Kurtz, who's more, recent draft pick. Nick Kurtz, he's been terrible with Oakland so far. Some guys, that's going to happen. But, you got half a lineup who can't hit. Can we call up somebody who's sizzling hot and see what he's got? I mean, maybe he's got, maybe there's things in his swing or in his hitting profile that make them think, well, he's not going to be able to hit enough at the big leagues.
Yeah, well, find that out first.
Right.
I mean, he's got, so the last 4 days,
yeah,
he has 11 hits.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
And 3 walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been incredible. He's always hit too. It's not like this is a 1-year flash in the pan. And the thing that we all should pay attention to is he's been playing right field pretty much every day.
That's right.
For the last 10 days.
That's
so
right.
Clearly they believe that that's the path forward. Now, what I'm guessing will happen is you'll see Lane Thomas come back. You'll see Jhonkensy Noel go down.
Yeah.
That takes care of, I think you'll see basically Jones, Martinez, and Thomas cover center field and right field. Right. I don't know how Will Brennan fits. I don't think he does. I don't think that matters. And then I think in time, the Nolan Jones thing, I don't know. I still don't know what to think about that. Because he's out of options, you got to give him more time, and the metrics are great. I'm so tired of talking about that. But I would think that eventually this becomes maybe Kafis in right field.
Yep.
And the guy whose spot he would take is Nolan Jones.
Yeah, it could be. I'd move on from Santana, but
you're going to have to mix in David Fry.
Yeah, right.
Chase DeLauder is going to be part of this equation at some point later this summer, and he's going to be a right field option. So maybe when he comes back and he gets some sea legs under him at AAA, he's in right field and Kafis is at first base. This roster can change a ton. I think maybe the reason why we sound so exasperated by it is you don't want to be sitting here saying all right, how many days till Chase DeLauder's up? How many days till CJ Kafis? You want guys to have to earn their way back and force their way in instead of we have no other recourse but to wait for the 22-year-old we've never seen before.
Exactly. And as frustrated as we are, I mean, I've seen people say, oh, the season's over. I mean, come on. The Guardians, as bad as they've played lately, are a half game out of the wild card spot and only 5.5 games out of the division. I know the Tigers are playing great, but the season's far from over. That's silly. It's the middle of May and they're 5 games over 500. I think they're 4 games over 500. So let's not write the season off.
No, but this is, you've got Twins, Tigers, Dodgers. It's time to turn this thing around.
Yeah, absolutely. You just lost to the worst team you're going to play in 2 weeks, 3 in a row. And obviously it's particularly painful because Will Benson, who'd done nothing for 2 years, hits a couple of home runs against you, and then Terry, you lose to Terry Francona and so it's frustrating, but yeah, I mean, they got to do something here at some point. And by the way, Kafis, as you said, the hitting in the minor in 3 years in the minor, he's played as of yesterday 158 minor league baseball games, have 705 plate appearances in the minors. So that's about 1 full season. If you add it all up, maybe a little more. 25 homers, 133 ribbies. He has 67 extra base hits, 160 strikeouts, which is not, it's high, but it's not crazy. And a 9.
That's actually not for 705 plate appearances.
That's true. It's not crazy.
That doesn't bother me. Especially he has 93 walks.
Right. Yes. He's good at getting on base. His batting average in 705 plate appearances is 306. His on base is 411. His slugging is 536. The OPS is 947.
The other thing, Bull?
Yeah.
If you look at it, he's gotten better at each level.
Yeah.
His numbers in AAA are better than his numbers at AA were.
Right.
And his numbers at AA are better than they were. I mean, there's a lot to like there. And you never know. And that's the thing. We're not saying that this guy is, the second coming. He's 23 years old.
Right.
But yeah, it's I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
your number of players you'd be intrigued to see stepping up to the plate would increase from 3 to 4.
100%. And again, if he sucks, okay, that, guys come back. Again, I'll reference the Cubs, and I don't know how he's going to do the second time around, but Matt Shaw, top prospect for the Cubs, started the season with the team, got off to a terrible start. They sent him back to the minors. He's been killing it for the last few weeks. They're calling him back up today. Again, will it, it's like, I'm not sure he's going to be great the second time around. The point is, even if it doesn't go well, Jackson Holiday last year was terrible for the Orioles. Started this season with the big leagues. He got off to a bad start. Now he's been red hot for a month. The numbers are really good for the season, and it feels like he's established himself. Even if it doesn't work out the first time, even Kyle Manzardo last year, right? He showed some signs, but he wasn't great. And now this year, he got another chance, and he's running with it. And there's even more room for him to grow. Young players are going to have ups and downs. They may struggle, and Kefis maybe stinks when he comes up. But he has earned, I believe, an opportunity between the fact, and I don't think it's yes, obviously part of the reason he's going to get the opportunity at some point is because the guys in the big leagues aren't doing it. But what more can he do I know all you can say in the minors is that he could do it for longer at AAA.
Yeah, that's it. Then learn right field more. But he's also, he's a left-handed hitter who has always hit lefties in the minors too.
Yeah.
Which is another plus.
Yep.
Yeah, he's doing what you want young players to do, where it's, I've put you in a position where you are having conversations daily talking about, we should probably call this kid up, right? Or we got to do it soon. That's what you want from a young player instead of, these guys aren't working. Like, is there anyone down there who's ready? No, like they have to have conversations about this kid every day because he's thriving right now.
Yeah. Played at a big-time college baseball program at Miami, and I don't know. I'd like to see him get a crack, and you're 100% right. Like, they call him up, like, okay, I'm excited to watch CJ Kefis play tonight. Like, again, it's a lot of hope, but I want to see Kefis. I want to see Bazana at some point. I want to see all these guys, and it's time. I mean, the Guardians, they don't want to spend any money. And yet they are super slow in terms of calling guys up, and it's frustrating. And we're frustrated, and certainly the fans are frustrated by it.
It's just weird because these conversations that we're having, if you just woke up from a long coma, like I'm sorry for whatever happened to you, but would you guess that the Guardians were in the ALCS?
No,
like 8 months ago?
No.
Yeah. Strange.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, and the offense overachieved last year, and it's come back to reality for most of these guys. And obviously, the relief pitching and the relief pitching has still been very good this year, but last year it was on another planet.
Yeah, I mean they've got, and I think it'll get better. They've got. Obviously, the core four who they trust implicitly, and they're trying to manage those workloads. And that's why maybe you've seen, in a game where they're down by 2, they go to Junis instead, and it becomes 5. And everyone's saying, why'd they go to Junis? And it's because, well, you can't pitch Cade Smith 85 times.
Right.
But the issue is, like, thank God for Colby Allard, who's been incredible over 17 innings. But they need a couple more reliable arms, and they're waiting there at AAA. Andrew Walters will be up at some point.
Yeah.
Franco Alaman will be up at some point, and that'll help bring a little stability because the other half of the bullpen has been a revolving door, and you're cycling through the Zack Kents and the I feel like people just come and go. I can't even remember names. Cody Bolton was here for a minute. Vince Velasquez was here and didn't pitch, and it's just like. You need other guys you can trust because you're not a team that's going to blow people out. So you're going to have more than 4 relievers that you can turn to in a close game.